Raw power. Apparently with great power comes great responsibility. However, in the Yu-Gi-Oh card game, I would argue that with great power comes the ability to crush all those that stand before you. I will admit that it is difficult to determine the true power of a monster. A lot of things factor into this. The level of the monster, how easy it is to summon the monster to the field, and just generally how powerful the monster's effect is. I want to put the majority of those things aside for now and just focus on the simple things to determine a monster's strength. Words, stars, far too confusing for me. You know what isn't confusing though? Numbers. Specifically, attack points. At the end of the day, it boils down to this. If my numbers are bigger than your numbers, then I win. So what I think I'm going to do today is a top 10 of the most powerful monsters in terms of their original attack points. Keep in mind I've used the term original attack points, so that means that I'm only including monsters that specifically state on the card their actual attack points. For example, Cyber Dragon has 2,100 attack points and Armital the Chaos Phantom has 0 attack points. Though its ability does boost it up to 10,000 attack, that is not its original attack point, so that monster won't be appearing on this list, so you can kind of understand how this video is going to work. So the question for this video becomes, how high can these attack points go? Well, they can go pretty damn high. However, there is a ceiling, and that ceiling rests at 5,000. Yes, it seems that monsters can't seem to push past that 5,000 limit boundary, and any monsters that hit that 5,000, I personally consider to be the peak of that monster's ability. This is kind of the ceiling that all monsters want to hit, so anything that's at 5,000 is fantastic. So in a way, 5,000 attack points or 5,000 defense points is the natural limit to a monster. Anything else is just other monsters' abilities or external forces boosting that monster to even higher proportional abilities. Luckily for us though, not many monsters have hit this 5,000 attack point feat. So for this video, we're going to be looking at the top 10 monsters in terms of their original attack points. Let's go. At number 10, I'm going to be using this spot as basically a runners-up position. These monsters are so close to that 5,000 attack point horizon, however they're just a stone's throw away, and unfortunately, they just don't hit those heights. So here are 10 monsters that have 4,500 attack points that I'm going to be putting into the runner-up position. Give these guys a round of applause for coming so close, but being so far. Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, Neo Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, Rainbow Neos, Neo Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon, Neo Galaxy Eyes Cypher Dragon, number C107 Neo Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Dragon, Quintet Magician, number 22 Zombie Stein, Crimson Nova Trinity the Dark Cubic Lord, and Chaos Ancient Geared Giant. At number 9, I have gone with a monster that rose above the 4,500 attack point monsters in the previous position. However, he's just ever so slightly lacking to reach the upper limits of the 5,000 attack point reach. And that monster is Machina Force. Machina Force is a level 10 monster with an impressive 4,600 attack and 4,100 defense. Its effect is it cannot be normal summoned or set. It must be special summoned by Commander Covington and cannot be special summoned by other ways. You must pay 1,000 life points to declare an attack with this card. You can send this face-up card you control to the graveyard to target one Machina Soldier, Machina Sniper, and Machina Defender in your graveyard. Special summon those targets. An interesting monster in theory, but the fact that it requires 3 very specific monsters to actually all be on the field at the same time. As well, one of those monsters has to use its effect in order to summon this monster out, which could be negated. This makes it quite the toll to get this monster out. As well, after all that effort getting this monster out, you still have to pay a whopping 1,000 life points to declare an attack. It's becoming less and less worth it in my mind. And since it has no real protection ability as well, this is why this monster is not top tier. But still, nice stats, man. Good try. Okay then, so everything else on this list now, it's gonna have 5,000 attacks. So to put them in order, we're gonna have to base them on some of their other little statistics, basically their effects and things like that. So yeah, here we go. And number 8 is a level 10 monster with 5,000 attack, but 0 defense. It is the very definition of a glass cannon, and its name is Rocket Arrow Express. Its effect is it cannot be normal summoned or set. It must be special summoned from your hand by controlling no cards and cannot be special summoned by other ways. You cannot conduct your battle phase the turn you special summon this card. You cannot activate cards or effects or set any cards. During each of your standby phases, destroy this card unless you send your entire hand to the graveyard. Minimum of 1. To be fair to this monster, it is so easy to get out, especially if you top deck it as well in a really dire situation. What a turnaround you can have. However, its maintenance is so high. I imagine it's the same kind of maintenance an actual rocket powered train thing would actually have, so it kind of makes sense, I guess. What holds it back is the fact that you can't attack the turn it is summoned, you can't use card effects or even set a card while this card is on the field, and worst of all, during each of your standby phases, you have to get rid of your entire hand. You're honestly going to have a lot of faith in this monster if you bring it to the field, because if it gets destroyed, well, you're screwed. The fact that this monster has the highest possible original attack is the sort of payoff that you have to do to all this cost. So, whether that makes it up for you is up to you, but otherwise, it's still a cool card. And number 7, another level 10 glass cannon monster with 5,000 attack but 0 defense. This monster's name is Flower Cardian Light Flare. It can only be summoned with 1 tuner plus 4 non-tuner monsters. Its effect is, once per turn during either player's turn, when your opponent activates a spell or trap card, you can negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. If a Flower Cardian monster you control battles an opponent's monster, that opponent's monster has its effects negated during the battle phase only. If this face-up synchro summon card is destroyed by battle or leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect while its owner controls it, you can special summon 1 Flower Cardian synchro monster from your extra deck, except Flower Cardian Light Flare. This monster is strong. So strong, in fact, that not only is it the most powerful synchro monster in the game to date, it is also the most powerful warrior type monster in the game as well. But those aren't the only 2 records it breaks. It also breaks another, which is unfortunately its biggest hindrance as well. Flower Cardian Light Flare is the first synchro monster to require exactly 4 non-tuner monsters for its synchro summon, which means it is the first synchro monster to require exactly 5 synchro materials, making it a monster that you're gonna have a tough time trying to get out. However, if you can get it out, it becomes a very reliable monster to have at your command. It can negate a spell and trap card once per turn, it can negate a monster's abilities it battles, and it even has a contingency that, if it is destroyed, you can summon another synchro monster in its place. Very powerful and very reliable. It's just a shame it's so tough to get out. And number 6 is the only Xyz monster on this list. The awesomely named Super Dimensional Robot Galaxy Destroyer. This rank 10 monster boasts an impressive 5,000 attack and 2,000 defense. It requires 3 level 10 monsters to be summoned, and its effect is, once per turn, you can detach 1 Xyz material from this card. Destroy all spell and trap cards your opponent controls. Your opponent cannot activate spell or trap cards in response to this card's activation. Now, 3 level 10 monsters may sound like a tall order in order to get this monster out. However, nowadays, I would say it's not that difficult. In the right deck, very easy actually to get this monster out. Chuck this thing in a train deck and voila, you've got yourself a Super Dimensional Robot Galaxy Destroyer on the field. However, despite the perfect attack, the decent defense, the cool artwork, and the absolute awesomely mouthful of a name, its effect, it's just okay. I mean, it can destroy all of your opponent's spell and trap cards up to 3 times for each material that it has. However, beyond that, for something that requires 3 level 10 monsters, it just feels like it's lacking something. Just something a little bit extra to push it over the boundaries. Maybe a piercing effect, or something other than that, I don't know. At the end of the day, it's a cool card, but will you be going for it over other monsters? Probably not. And here we go, guys. At number 5 is the first of the perfect monsters. Dystopia the Despondent is a level 12, 5,000 attack point, 5,000 defense point monster. Its effect is it cannot be normal summoned or set. It must be special summoned from your hand or graveyard by sending 4 face-up level 1 monsters you control to the grave, and cannot be special summoned by other ways. Other monsters you control cannot attack. During either player's battle step, once per battle involving this card, you can banish 1 level 1 monster from your graveyard. Until the end of the damage step, this card is unaffected by other card effects. Also, it cannot be destroyed by battle. This monster has achieved both the peak of power and the peak of defense. The amount of monsters that have done this, you can actually count on one hand. It's 4 at the time of making this video, so it's pretty impressive. So to understand why this monster is below the other monsters, we have to go a little bit deeper into this monster's effect and summoning requirements. The fact that you need 4 level 1 monsters that all need to be on the field is quite awkward to get out. Though possible in some decks, this is a monster where you literally have to make a deck based around the boss monster. And the fact there are monsters further down on this list that have the exact same attack and defense points but are much more easier to be summoned. I would argue that that makes this monster the lowest of the 5,000 attack, 5,000 defense monsters. The other hindrance is the fact that it is the only monster that's allowed to attack on your side of the field when you get it out, meaning that though you have this really powerful monster, it's going to turn really slow. If your opponent can keep setting monsters into defense, it's gonna be a slow slug. Yes, its ability to be immune to everything is pretty damn good, but that is limited to the amount of level 1 monsters in your graveyard, and you'll have 4 in there. It's gonna run out eventually. Still, an impressively powered monster. Well done, Dystopia the Despondent. Pretty cool. At number 4 is the very iconic level 12 monster, 5-headed dragon. Boasting a perfect 5,000 attack and 5,000 defense, it requires 5 dragon-type monsters to be summoned. Must be fusion summoned and cannot be special summoned by other ways. It cannot be destroyed by battle with a dark, earth, water, fire, or wind monster. Though 5 dragons in order to summon this monster to the field might sound like a steep cost, it's not actually that bad since there's a lot of other ways to get this monster out. Specifically, for the use of future fusion, dumping all your monsters into the graveyard and then using Dragon's Mirror to banish all those monsters in the grave, makes it very, very easy to get out, in fact. So with just these 2 cards in your deck, this monster becomes one of the most easiest 5,000 attack, 5,000 defense points beat stick monsters in the game to get out. However, its effect is where it begins to lack. It's just not that impressive. Being unable to be destroyed by any monster other than a light monster or a divine monster is made utterly redundant by the fact that this monster already has 5,000 attack and 5,000 defense. So your opponent's most likely not going to think, I'm going to boost my light level monster above 5,000 to destroy this monster. I'll just activate a Regeki instead. Still though, it's a very easy 5,000 attack point monster to get out, so it definitely deserves its spot on this list. And it's awesome. Moving on to the top 3, this is a personal favourite of mine, so it's going to be a little tiny bit of bias with this one. Malefic Truth Dragon is a level 12 monster with 5,000 attack and 5,000 defense. It cannot be normal summoned or set, it must be special summoned by its own effect, and cannot be special summoned by other ways. If a Malefic monster you control, except Malefic Truth Dragon, is destroyed by battle or by card effect, you can pay half your life points, special summon this card from your hand or your graveyard. There can only be 1 Malefic monster on the field. If there is no face-up field spell card on the field, destroy this card. If this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, destroy all face-up monsters your opponent controls. Apologies if I'm showing a little bit of bias for this one, as I do actually have a little bit of a fondness for the Malefic archetype. This epically named Malefic Truth Dragon is the boss monster of the Malefic monsters, and as such you would imagine that it's quite difficult to get out. Well, that's where you're wrong. It's actually super easy, barely an inconvenience. All you need to do is have this criteria met. Have a field spell on the field and have one of your Malefic monsters that's already on the field just get murked. Then you can just special summon this monster to the field. Bang. Ultimate monster. However, yes, I am well aware of the fact that when you get this monster out, it does cost you half of your life points. So if you get it out at the start of the duel, that's 4,000 life points. Though if you do get it out towards the end of the duel, it could just be like 200 life points, you know? Could be. And yes, I am also well aware of the fact that if this monster is on the field and then you lose your field spell, then this monster blows itself up as well. Yeah, that's a little bit annoying. But regardless, the fact that you can summon this monster from either the hand or the graveyard, so even after this monster's been destroyed, it can still make a return, at the simple cost of half your life points again. The fact that as well, if you manage to destroy one of your opponent's monsters, you can destroy all the face-up monsters on the field as well. Double-edged sword there. You'd rather be able to destroy all the monsters, because sometimes face-down monsters can be a little bit of a problem, but still, pretty cool. As a kind of counter, if you put Skill Drain in your deck, then this monster is then immune to if your field spell gets destroyed, so activate that into response to your field spell being destroyed. You got a monster on the field, that's absolutely fine. This is the only one of the Malefic monsters as well that lets you attack with other monsters on your side of the field, which is a plus. And as well, since you're paying half your life points to summon this monster, might as well chuck a Megamorph in the deck. Get this monster up to 10,000 attack. OP. I've gone for another fusion monster for the number 2 spot, and that monster is Dragon Master Knight. A level 12 monster with 5,000 attack and 5,000 defense. Requiring Blackluster Soldier and Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon to be summoned, its effect is it must be fusion summoned. This card gains 500 attack for each dragon type monster you control, except this card. The reason why this monster is above all the other monsters that we see on this list is a little bit of a selfish one. The fact that this monster has achieved the perfectness of 5,000 attack and and 5,000 defense. If this is the ceiling, this is this monster, pressed right against it. And this monster wants to go even further beyond that. So with its effect, it still wants to gain more power. You get this monster out with more dragons on the field and it can actually break through that ceiling, which I think is very admirable for a monster. It wants to be even greater than the best. Meaning that if you get this monster out with 4 other dragons on the field, this monster will have 7,000 attack. And if you manage to have a dragon link monster on the field, which I'm sure do exist, then you could probably get that up to 7,500. Pretty damn impressive. I will admit though that this monster is quite the hassle to get out. You need a fusion monster and a ritual monster as its materials. It can be a little tough time getting that out. However, with cards like Fusion Tag, the Litex Sealed Fusion, King of the Swamp, and Dragon's Mirror, these cards can actually make your life a lot easier. Plus the fact that this monster is a combination of 2 of the most iconic monsters used by 2 of the most famous characters from the Yu-Gi-Oh series, Seto Kaiba and Yugimoto, makes it just that much more awesome. And that is why Dragon Master Knight gets my number 2 spot. And for the number 1 most powerful monster in terms of original attack points, I need to first explain a little something about boss duels first. So a boss duel is a special type of duel performed in Japan during a Yu-Gi-Oh! Day event. During these duels, a shop staff member uses a boss deck and up to 3 players can challenge that deck at once. Each boss deck is designed as a popular villain from the anime, with each card in their deck based on either an extremely powerful anime-only card or the anime counterpart of a physically existing card. Each of the players start with 8,000 life points, whereas the boss starts with 8,000 life points times the number of challengers, potentially giving the boss 24,000 starting life points. The idea is to work together with your teammates in order to take down a boss that is potentially using some very OP cards. So far, Pegasus, Night Shroud, Zone, and Don 1000 all have boss decks, but only Don 1000 has a monster that is so incredibly overpowered in terms of original attack points that I had to put it on the list. And that monster is known as Don 1000 Monster B. Yes, this monster is technically illegal for tournament play, however it was made into a real card, so that's why I think it's eligible for this video, plus it's really cool so I just wanted to add it anyway. This monster has no level, but boasts an incredible 10,000 attack and 1,000 defense. To summon it, you need to shout out this command: I summon number C1000 Numeronius. His effect is he cannot be normal summoned or set, he must be special summoned by Don 1000 spell C, and cannot be special summoned by other ways. At the end of the battle phase, destroy as many monsters your opponent controls as possible, then you can special summon all monsters that were destroyed by this effect to your side of the field in face-up defense position. If this card would be destroyed, you can destroy one other monster you control instead. With this monster's natural 10,000 attack, it makes it even better than the equally strong Armityle the Chaos Phantom. However, Armityle the Chaos Phantom has 0 original attack points and has to boost itself up to reach that 10,000 attack. This monster, he just has 10,000 attack, making it amazing. So the fact that this monster has 10,000 attack, double that of all the other monsters on this list, means that I can safely say that this monster is the number 1. Wait a minute, this can't be. There's an even stronger monster than this? I tricked you! 10,000 attack is nothing. Don 1000 Monster C has 100,000 attack points and 100,000 defense points. That's insane! Again, it's still illegal to play in tournament use, but it's still pretty damn cool. Its effect is it cannot be normal summoned or set, it must be special summoned from your hand when a Don 1000 Monster B control is destroyed, and cannot be special summoned by other ways. This card cannot be destroyed by card effects. Also, it cannot attack. Your opponent cannot target other monsters for an attack. During your opponent's end phase, if they did not declare an attack this turn, they lose the duel. You must call out this chant in order to summon it. I summon number IC1000 Numeronius Numeronia. 100,000 attack. That makes it 20 times stronger than Dragon Master Knight, so OP. Its effect makes it invincible to being destroyed by card effects, and it makes itself the only monster that's allowed to be attacked on the field. And what happens if you choose not to attack this 100,000 attack point monster? Well, you lose the duel. Yes, I can see why this isn't a real card. This is truly broken. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I made it for fun, so I hope you guys appreciate it nonetheless.